Hi everyone, welcome to another Wolfram language design review. We are looking at various kinds of external connections today, starting off apparently with things about external evaluate. So take it away. What are we looking at here?
Okay, so we have improvements and design suggestions for a new menu structure for the external evaluate cells and associated improvements with provisioning environments for various external evaluate languages. And so I would like to hand over to Ricardo for this demo.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing it then. Ricardo's screen should show up.
Hello.
We're not
Okay,
seeing your screen yet. Are we seeing your screen?
You don't? Okay, let me do it
I
again.
don't know. Oh no, maybe
Yeah, it's working for me.
I can see it, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have done a lot of changes during the past few days, and there will be bugs. Hopefully, not something crucial,
Okay.
but it should be okay. The first thing I would like to show is the difference between what we released and what is on development. So basically, the provisioning environment system was something that we created from the ground up at the beginning. And on the right, there is a kernel. On the left, there is another kernel. I will start them, a completely unscientific benchmark, I would say, but just to give you an idea of what we are talking about, you see that on the left is already over. So we are able to provision now a system in 5 seconds. So as you can see, I'm provisioning two systems one after the other. The first time it takes a little bit longer because it's downloading Python. So 5 seconds, 0.7 is the amount of time it takes to download a full Python installation. Then the second time, the Python installation is already there, and so it's much faster. It's only provisioning the packages. Now, there is also another alternative provisioning system, and the syntax to do that is that instead of, at least the proposed syntax, will be that instead of doing Python runtime 3.11 or 3.10 or whatever, you do conda at the beginning. You evaluate that guy. Okay, this is over now. And it provision a system using conda. Now, takes a little bit more time because conda, it's a little bit slower than this other system. And the second time is almost identical because conda is always downloading a Python installation. But the reason why we are doing two provisioning systems instead of one is that, so the first one is based on UV, Astral, a lot of people should know it. And it's pretty used right now. The reason why we are also introducing a second system is because, in case something goes wrong when you are installing packages, something can always go wrong. I mean, Python can run arbitrary code, do CMake and things like that. And so something might go wrong. At least you have an escape hatch by using conda that is a complete different installation and resolution, dependency resolution. And so it will give you, there are chances that maybe with conda will work. And the other reason is because with conda you can provision other kind of system other than Python, including Node.js, Ruby. People are also using to install Julia.
What about R?
Also R, yes. And an entire database if you want. So so there is a pretty big speed up between those two systems.
That's great, but listen. If
yeah.
you would, let's say you're doing an R run, an R provisioning here. What would this look like? It would say R and then evaluator arrow, whatever, but it's not going to say Python runtime.
Right. We are not entirely sure what is this is going to be the next thing we are doing, but probably it will be among those lines. Unfortunately, our runtime is pretty ugly.
Yeah, I actually can add to that a little bit, Steven, if you're interested.
Yeah, okay.
So basically in R, the tooling is kind of catching up with Python in this regard. And so R runtimes are pretty heavy. So the current plan, and it's a pretty recent one, is that there is a new R development, which is like a few years old and becoming a de facto standard for R virtual environments, which will be based on top of these distributions. So there will be a kind of a two-layer system. The heavier ones will be provisioned by this mechanism that Ricardo is describing. And then on top of that, we'll have lightweight virtual environments based on basically the bleeding edge R technology, which is just a very modern way. They finally implemented the virtual environment technology that they didn't have before.
Okay,
So that
great.
one will be lightweight.
Okay, so let me ask a question here. So what kind of a thing is Conda? In the following sense, 3.11 is a version number of Python, basically. Conda is what? An orchestration layer? What the hell is it? What is its
It is the
generic name?
provisioning system, yes. Actually, it's called Pixie, but it's pretty obscure, so I was thinking about calling it Conda. The one that is using here is called UV. You don't need to use it because by default we are using UV. But this is the system
Okay,
that
I
we're
don't
using.
think it should be in the line of Python runtime. I think the Python runtime should be called like Python version or something. That's what it is, isn't it?
Right. The only problem is that instead of Python runtime, you can actually create your own environment starting from a Python installation that you have. Like you can hardcode here your path, and it will create a path from this. So, which is why it was called Python runtime, because it can contain a file, but it can contain also the Python version. Obviously, this thing is pretty. Not a lot of people are going to use it, but sometimes.
Okay, why not have something where we have a generic name, which is just runtime or something, and then have version, runtime and version as two generic keys in that association that would work for any
Could
system.
be.
And then we also say, and then another key called provisioning system or provisioning environment, but maybe provisioning system.
Okay. Yeah, could be, yeah.
But just for my understanding, like this stuff like Conda and UV, they are like pip, or do they sit at a different level?
Okay, so UV got no dependency on Python whatsoever. Is a single binary written in Rust that basically downloads those Python builds that are created standalone for your operative system. So everything is pre-built. And then the resolution system is actually completely implemented in Rust. So it's a drop-in replacement of the command line interface of pip. Pixie is pretty similar, but Pixie, I'm using it only for constructing the Python installation, which is basically what we were using before. Before we were using Conda. But then to install and resolve dependency, we are still using UV. So even with this approach.
Let me also add that for R, at least, Conda has its own R package manager, which is different from the one that is standard one. So in some ways, it's better if it's a Conda-based R installation. It's better in many ways to use that package manager.
Let's see. I mean, I don't know what kind of a word is Conda. Is Conda, is that somebody's? I mean, I know it's an open source thing, but is the right name Conda, or is the right name whatever the name of the actual provisioning system is?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We could use the actual provisioning system name, which is Pixie.
I think Pixie is probably a little bit better. I think Conda is just something Pixie uses. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Cool.
So
then
what is the proposed name?
Pixie is the actual name of the tool, I think, just like UV. I think UV and Pixie are sort of analog, just different things, but
yeah. So then we should call
similar.
it Pixie. I mean, this
is
obviously
just
Yeah, this is a very inside issue.
Right. I'm not even sure we need to expose it, but again, it could be an escape hatch for some people. So I will keep it there since
I think in 99.9%
of
of the cases you don't even say that.
Yes.
So
Yes,
it's
yes,
a
yes.
UV is fast. It's the default, and it's really nice because it's like 10 times faster. And we should
Right.
try to get that in 14.2 or even earlier if we can, as a Packlet update, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, indeed. I mean, once we got approval for all of this, we don't need to wait for
Yeah.
the main release. But yeah, we obviously need to go through
We should go
QA
back
and
as far
stuff.
as possible
Yeah.
to speed things up for existing users and existing code, because it does affect stuff we have already released in the function repository, for example. You know, if you have the Packlet, it's
Agree.
faster. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of ground to cover.
Okay, onward, please.
Okay. Yeah. So let's move to the cell changes that we have been doing. So on the right here, you see the original mockup that UX, specifically Noah, was doing. Yeah, and it kind of looks like that. Maybe Noah
I'm
would
sorry,
like to
where is
spend
this showing up? I don't understand. Where is this?
Yeah. So this is the actual implementation I have, and is not identical yet, but more or less in terms of functionality, it looks the same. But there are a few.
this is for you.
Cell language is not a thing we can use. I mean, we should call that. We should just. I don't think we should title that. I think we should just say Python. And then, because cell language, I was wondering whether that was, intercellular communication through, through small molecules and, molecular biology. I don't know what the hell that
Your
was.
background is different, yeah.
Maybe external language.
But is it always a language? I mean, it's SQL, for example, which is, well, I guess that's a language.
Yeah,
but
I
why do
think
we need to title that? Why doesn't it just
I
say
think
Python?
Noah can comment on this, but what I understand is that if you don't write a title, it will be confusing then with this section. Noah, can you?
Yeah, I mean, so Stephen, if you look at the mock-up on the right, I've put cell language and cell session. And the reason, so originally I didn't put the language title, I just had session. The reason for that addition was because I didn't think it was necessarily clear that that's what that list was. You're actually picking a session. And so I thought, okay, well, it's kind of sensible to put cell session at the top. And then I just kind of added cell language in to kind of match it. But I don't think it's completely necessary, cell language. I think cell session or something there.
Well, how about
some
just
kind of
session?
heading.
Session.
Sure. Yeah, session would be fine.
Actually, you know what? I could go for external language and external session in your mockup.
Yeah,
I think
it
cell session
matches
is too
the
weird.
external evaluate cell
Obviously,
type or whatever it is. Yes.
Okay, so I suggest external language, external session. All right, so then let's look at the.
Okay, so what are the things that you can do? Let's.
Oh, I see.
Let's start
That
from
went
scratch.
to say session ID. So you gave a session there. So then there's a session ID above the cell, correct? Is that correct, Ricardo?
Yes. Wait.
No, I'm looking at
me?
the screen right now. You see the screen? You've got in line 66, you've got a session ID there.
Yes. And this is an addition that is not implemented, like I'm faking it. This is the code that is faking it. But the idea is that this is dynamic, changes in real time.
Listen. If you're going to do this, pick a random word. Are you going to pick a random word for the session ID? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Then for God's sake, let's clean our dictionary, please.
Yes, I know.
So we have random words, right? I couldn't find any options.
Inside there are some. Yes, I already deleted something I found.
That's a good suggestion, to make a version of random word that makes random upbeat words. Okay, I don't know what the right name for the random word.
I mean, we already have several categories, right? So we should have a safe or sane or something like that, right? So something that will not get us into trouble.
Well, no. Let's just think about it. And what do other people call this? I mean, when you're picking words for one of these things, I don't think we should say safe, because that is too much of a value judgment. I think we should just say
sanitized.
Yeah, sanitized.
Or is that also too value judgment?
No, it's not terrible.
Curated.
Say it again.
Curated.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, the original list is also curated, right?
Right. Let's see. I mean, maybe we talk about the what the purpose is. The purpose is they are they're not passwords, but what are they? When you have a what are those
First of all,
called?
Stevie, like people can give their own ID, so that it can be just a name that you pick yourself, and
No,
that's
I understand that, but assuming you're not picking it yourself, assuming we're picking it by
Yes.
default, what
I mean,
what is
I'm
it?
looking at the docs of random word and types. There are already several types, like common words, known words.
I know.
There could be
I know.
another.
And the reason
category.
The reason to use words is because it's easier to recognize than a
I
giant.
got the whole story. I got the whole story.
Okay.
I just want to know what when you use a series of words as an alternative to a password or a recovery thing, what is the generic name in computer security for that collection of words? Do you understand my question?
Yes,
I mean,
I don't remember.
in security, there's sometimes something known as a passphrase, but that's not.
It's not quite the same thing. It's
This could be a
Yeah,
session
SSH
phrase or something.
uses that for when you generate keys.
Yeah, session phrase.
But it's not really a phrase. It's random words.
Yeah, I know. But that's okay.
No, we can find out.
But what are we using for what are we using in the password generator that we just added in version? Yeah, okay. Passphrase seems to be what people are calling it.
A passphrase is typically used to suggest that you use more than a simple password. So it's usually something that users, a secret thing that users choose.
No, I understand. Well, I mean, we could have in random word, we could have a passphrase words as one of its possible, as one of the possible things types you can select. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. And it's also relevant in the new generate password, which did that go into 14.2? I can't remember now. Somebody remember that?
Please? I don't remember. I'll take a look. I don't know.
If it isn't in 14.2, it's going into, I think it isn't in 14.2.
I mean, it's a function repository that is called random strong password.
No, but we just did a design review for generate password or random password, which I thought was in. Okay, in any case, it's supposed to be going into a version soon, but let's not get hung up on that here.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Next item.
So I was saying,
let me see that. Oh, sorry.
Sure.
Let me go ahead. Okay.
No, this is what I'm saying. You start with this menu, right? There is only one item here, and the item is what is currently attached to the cell. So right now you're working with this session, which is something that is recorded on my machine. Now, when you
okay, but hold on. By default, this is not a session-based thing. By default, if I just type greater than and I get a Python cell, it will be a stateless object, right?
Yes. It will start with basically it will.
Okay, so what does that menu look like? That menu should have a thing that allows you to pick stateless.
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
Yes, and it should probably be the first entry here, but it's not here for now. But yes, this is a great. Yes, it needs to
Okay, so then hold on. Could you please pull that up again? Thank you. Okay, in there, in the section that's called external session, I think that when there isn't one, it should have paren none in that part of the in Noah's mockup on the right. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? If there is none, make it be none. Make it say none.
Well, it is the automatic and the default one.
I know that, but you have to be able to select it, because otherwise, what you're seeing here, if you want that cell to be a no session cell, how are you going to select that? Do you see what I'm saying?
What does it mean on no session cell? At some point, you need to attach something, which is either the default one. We have a default one, which is basically an environment we are provisioning.
But I thought the default was stateless, to have each cell be separate.
Oh, no. I mean, we are not.
Okay. So the default, actually, I remember this now. The default is that it is shared throughout the
What we have
section,
right
correct?
now, yes, it's a default. It's a singleton session, like the notebook kernel. You start one, and it is shared between. Like every time you create a new
It's not
cell,
the notebook kernel. It's the generic session kernel, right?
Right.
Which is not the notebook kernel, because the notebook kernel you can have a separate kernel. No, I'm sorry.
Right.
The notebook
And
kernel.
you can do also here, but by default, if you just create cell, it will share the same session, because basically what
fine,
you do
but
is
that has to be clarified. Okay, so look. Okay, hold on. Okay, so there are two cases here. That one is use the default kernel session, external session, and the second is create a new session, right? A new. I see. That's the start a new session. Okay, but now the question is what is the default session?
Okay. This is a problem in my implementation, I think.
No, I don't need to see the thing working. I just need to know in this pull down, how do I get to the default session?
Okay, you see this one, when you just do start external session, evaluator name is built in. Now, from here, you should always see this built-in one. And so you simply pick this one and
okay, but hold on. So one of the items in that list there should be what you're calling the built-in. I would not call it built-in. I would call it default, because it's not built-in.
Okay.
It's external.
Yeah. It was actually called default, and
external.
I moved it to built-in, and just so that the user can use the word default. But okay.
Let's not do that. Let's have the
okay.
be the.
Makes sense.
Okay, so hold on. So in that pull down list there, there will be a thing always called default, correct?
Yes. Here.
And I don't care what the, okay, so I see. So evaluator name default, and then that's the thing, and that's what the dependencies that have been loaded are.
Correct. Now,
I think that should not be called evaluator name, except it is called evaluator name in the association that is setting up the environment, correct? So it's not just called evaluator. Why is it not just called evaluator? Because it's the name.
Because evaluator is this key, and if we call it evaluator again, then it starts to be confusing.
Yeah, no, okay, fine.
And you need to distinguish, because sometimes here you see that there is the evaluator. Here we don't need to show it because this is something we provision. You don't care where it is. You care more about the dependency. But when you have something else, and in most languages you have your own installation, the hard-coded part of the installation is going to show up here. And so evaluator is the actual part of the binary in your system, and evaluator name is the name that is assigned to it.
Do we need to show the evaluator name here?
Maybe not, but and maybe we can have only one line. I was having something with one line, was looking weird. Maybe we can remove it. We can play with it. Yeah.
Well, but don't you need to be able to distinguish these different evaluators? No, you've got a session ID.
Right.
And the other way to distinguish them is that little list of packages, which is super useful. Like,
sure.
That's
right. But you might want
and just if I can say one more thing.
Yeah.
With Python, you almost never use the default session. I just want to make that clear. Like almost everybody, you have to load additional packages before you can do anything useful in Python. So it's like, the default case is not super important as far as I'm concerned. Unless
well, are we making a no package default? Why aren't we making a default that has packages?
We could. It will take a little bit more time to install, but with the system that is so fast, probably we can.
It could have a few packages like NumPy or something like that, but yeah, I mean.
NumPy is already there. Probably we should provision PyArrow, because now with Tabular it's pretty essential.
All right,
Yeah,
okay.
image.
Let's get, so we've got some packages already there. Let's get the right list of packages already there. People can see what packages are there because they're explicitly shown. Now, the only issue, could you go back to the pull down that you were showing before? Okay, so the issue here is we've got both a session ID and an evaluator name. That seems, I mean, the evaluator name
Steven,
is
they're not the
assigned-
same.
What's that?
They're not, I'm sorry.
No,
to
I know
interrupt,
they're
but
not the same. I know they're not the same.
Because you can start multiple session out of the same
I know
evaluator.
of a
Yeah.
given evaluator. I'm well aware.
Mhm.
Right.
Just let me quickly finish this stuff, and then we go on.
Okay, all right.
So what I was doing here, start a session, assigning variable to now. As you can see, this was in the wrong session. So I go in here. This is my fiasco, so I'll take this one, and now I evaluate again, and it's attached. Now
Yeah,
the thing
great.
is, if I quit the kernel, I start again, and I run this code, obviously X is not gonna work, but give the notebook to another guy, is gonna work, because inside the cell, we are basically saving all the dependency, all the information, and everything is symbolic. So basically, you can take this guy, give it to another, move it to another machine, maybe even Windows, and it will keep working. Now, other things that we're doing.
Wait, stop. What if it's a large data structure?
What do you mean?
What if the thing that you're saving is a large data structure?
You're just saving the specification of the evaluator.
Yeah,
It's more about the environment, the packages and everything, which is useful.
But wait a second. But the X value, okay, it's the dependencies as in the package dependencies, not
Yes.
anything
Yes,
about the
I mean,
value. The value X is
anything
clear.
needed to
No,
recreate the
yes.
evaluator.
It's not saving the Python
No,
session
it's not
state.
saving
So
the state of the evaluator. It's only
No,
saving what the evaluator is.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that we are doing is that depending on the language, we can do different things. Now, what I'm doing, for example, here for Python, this stuff, reformat code.
Wait. There's many more items here to look at. Could you go back to that menu, please?
Mm-hmm.
Back to the menu. Open the menu, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Start a new Python session. All right. We went through that.
Right. I'm going through.
Wait. Let's go.
Okay.
Open up, start a new Python session again, please.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's showing the evaluators that are installed, correct? And
Yes.
the order in which those are shown is probably based on most recently used. Is that correct?
No, but
It should be.
could. Okay.
I would think so.
Except that the default should probably always be at the top.
Right.
Except the
Yes,
default
okay,
is the least useful one, so I would always put it at the bottom. But that's just my
That's
preference.
why I'm suggesting just the most recently used, because it's not clear that the default is the most useful thing. And if you don't ever use it, then it drops to the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
Start a session with automatic environment. What does that mean?
Yeah. Okay. So is this one?
No, just explain it. Just explain it.
Yeah. Basically, you see, I have this cell. There are some dependency. What I can do is that I do this guy, and then I press it again, and it works. Basically, what it's doing is that it's parsing the code, extracting the dependency, and create a set of dependency here that matches your code.
Okay. And may I make a suggestion? But scroll down again in that menu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would say start a session with inferred environment.
Okay.
Does that not make more sense? Because automatic suggests to me that it might be something that is, automatic as in from the outside.
Okay.
So the idea is it looks at the code and infers whatever is necessary. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Then, for example, here, the other thing is remove the unused import.
No, wait. Remove what?
Unused imports. So basically here I have this thing that is not necessary, is a leftover from whatever, and I can clean it up.
Okay, could you go back to that menu, please? Go back to the menu, please. Back to the menu. Okay. So look, that remove unused imports. You should pair that with, look, start a session Okay, what I would do, start a session with inferred imports, remove unused imports. See what I'm saying? If the item there is start a session with inferred imports, remove unused imports, then those things help support each other to make themselves comprehensible.
With maybe
Right.
the delimiters above and below it or something.
Yes, why not?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I'm not sure it
Okay.
needs delimiters. I think that can be blocked there. Okay, then there's the format code. So show that, please.
I mean, this is another language, so we have less stuff, but I have implemented format code for both SQL and
That's nice.
Node.
Now, hold on,
Right.
hold on. If we had a cell gear menu, which hopefully we will have soon, we do have in the cloud, that format code thing could be in the cell gear menu, correct?
I'm not sure.
Well, do you understand what I'm talking about, right?
No, sorry. I was
The cell gear menu, the thing over on the right-hand side by the cell bracket. The menu that shows a gear picture. Go to the right-hand side, go to the right, go to the right. Okay. That's not the thing. Noah, what is the status of the cell gear menu for desktop?
I think it's yeah. I mean, the last thing I heard John say about it was that there are some implementation issues. So it is you can turn it on and it is in preferences, but it's off by
we
default.
should make sure we discuss this in the next user assistance meeting. Could somebody make sure it makes it to that agenda?
I can do that, yeah.
And then invite Ricardo, so he's kind of up to date with that as well. I think it makes sense.
Yes, potentially. But
one
I'm not
thing
sure
that
you'd necessarily think to look in the cell gear menu for formatting code, though.
I understand. I'm not suggesting that we take it out of the menu it's already in, but I think it should also be in that menu because I think that menu is going to contain the reformat code, item for our language code in a generic input cell.
So how do we currently format our own language in an input cell?
We don't. It's a mess.
So we should not use the same mess so we should have
We
something
had
for
it in the
both.
tool.
No. We're going to have a format code for our own language.
And that same format code could apply to external evaluates.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Okay, onward. All right, I think I get it.
No,
so
the other thing that we can do with other group is that when the AI is producing code in notebooks, they could produce code cell now that you can directly evaluate, and with this infer the automatic from the import, you can ask AI to produce some Python code, then you press Shift Enter and basically it should work.
all right.
With this.
Well,
So
that's a separate
kind of
issue.
integration. Yeah, that's
a separate issue for the notebook assistant, which
exactly
we should look at. It's not, it's being told right now to only generate code in our language, which I think is the safest thing to do. And I'm not sure that I'm keen on doing this, but it will be an interesting experiment.
Right.
Okay.
Anyway,
can we move on?
Yes. Okay. So changes that we are done in terms of that we want to do are basically there are some renaming that we are doing. So previously the specification for start external session here, there was also a base directory. The base directory will allow you to customize where you are going to install the system. Now, the base directory is a mess when you are moving this thing to another system because it's not portable. Directory is on your machine. It's not going to work on Windows, for example. And so we are thinking about removing the base directory and just issue a message. There is already, I think, a message that is coming out if I use base directory here.
What? Okay, how are you specifying where the binary is?
Right. With this specification, you are basically saying, the specification only contains dependency and Python runtime. This is what we want to do. Only the specification.
Okay, but we had a base directory previously. For what purpose?
So that you can change those environment are pretty heavyweight. They can be hundreds of megabytes. At some point, you can have gigabytes. So depending on what system you're using, you might want to install it on a different machine, different hard disk or something. So this is why we
Okay, so what's
we
your
added
proposed
an interface
alternative?
there. That right now what we have is a dollar external evaluate base directory that evaluates to a location under Wolfram application data external evaluate. But this is something that could be system and could be documented. And if you really want to, have your installation of external evaluate somewhere else, you can customize this directory.
Yes, I
So
mean, we already have.
How would you do that? Just a second. The thing says
By attaching a persistent value to this guy or by setting it during the init of them.
No, hold on. You have a fresh new version. There's no Python been installed.
Right.
You make a Python cell, okay?
Right.
It will now install Python.
Right.
The question is, where's it going to put the Python? As opposed
right now
to
is
the
putting
reptile house in the zoo.
Under dollar external evaluate base directory. But the nice thing about this system is that even if you change the directory and you press Shift Enter again, it will simply install Python in the new directory, and we leave the old one.
So what you're saying is that there is a global variable that determines the current place to look for the external evaluate base directory.
Yes, and basically contains all this stuff. It contains the registry, it contains the binary to do the installation, it contains the actual environment, and Python version that I installed.
Yeah, I mean, we already have a lot of these base directory, cache base directory, local base, and so on. And so the important thing is that this can be set persistently so that at the beginning of the new session, it will already be whatever you specified it to be. So it's really a minor point, but just
could
for
you type in
$local
base directory? No, just type in $local base directory.
$local base it is.
Okay. All right. Fine. So
and we have cache base and stuff like that.
Right. So $external evaluate base would be the analogous name, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we actually have names that end in directory and those that don't. Now, local base is not strictly, well, it is a directory, but local objects are not files. And so that's why the directory is missing, but clearly for the environments, they all, I mean, whether or not directory at the end, we have both.
I think if it is a directory and a pure directory, not an object store, then we might as well call it directory.
Yes, so externally evaluate base directory. Yes.
Yeah,
so
okay. All right.
That's a consistent choice. Yes.
Okay. All right. So now what you're saying is that you don't want to provide that as a local option, like an external evaluate base directory. You only want to provide it as a global $external evaluate base directory.
It could be even an option for external evaluate, but it's not part of the specification of the evaluator. Like path and $path.
Yeah, I understand.
That you override when you do, But
so,
I mean, I doubt that is something that is going to be so used.
Okay,
so
hold on.
Sure. Sorry.
Yeah, the point you're making is if you set the thing as part of the environment and then you send that environment, that notebook to somebody else, it will fail. Right?
Yes.
Therefore, it's not very sensible to have it in there. And I agree with that. Unless it points to like a cloud file, for example, then it could be global. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but for that thing, I would rather do something like evaluator goes to cloud object, right? And I think this is already working. Like you just cloud deploy the specification, and then you use evaluator goes to cloud object, and then you can share it with someone else.
Okay.
And the moment you update the object is a.
Okay, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
What else? Yeah, okay. ID is renamed to session ID, and name goes to evaluator name. So everywhere.
Those are string names, right?
Yes, because here otherwise it would have been clear if the name is for the session or for the evaluator, and so I think it's safer to just call them session ID instead of
Wait a
ID.
second. Why is it session ID and evaluator name? Why isn't it session ID and evaluator ID, or session name and evaluator name? Especially given that they're both in this weird format. Why not call it
Could be
evaluator ID?
evaluator ID.
You can
Yeah,
set them
could
to
be
whatever you
evaluator
like.
ID. You're right. It could be evaluator ID.
I think it should
If
be.
we are doing this rename, we could be session ID and evaluator ID.
I think that's a sensible thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, because previously we were calling ID and name, but ID was referring to the session and name is to the evaluator. But yeah, they are both ID actually. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I assume somebody is taking notes here.
I hope so.
Carla?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we
Carla,
I am, Claudia. I am.
Oh,
Thanks.
Claudia.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got the wrong-
Yeah, no, and what else? Yeah, just an internal thing. The way this whole system works is that when we provision the environment, there is actually, we create now a manifest file, which is saved as evaluator as, a .wxf file. So we are not referencing anymore directly the Python installation, but we reference a manifest. The content of this manifest, you can take a look at it. Basically, it contains the original specification of the user here.
It's also referring to itself with that manifest. The manifest location is referring to where
Yes.
it is. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is needed, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, fine.
But basically, I'm creating now two versions. One is the original specification, and the other one is the locked specification. So as you can see, the evaluator name now is populated here. The Python runtime is populated, and the dependencies are all fully expanded. So what then we do is that when you attach this guy to the cell, we take the actual locked environment, this one, so that we are sure that that is going to work on another machine. Because otherwise, if you just specify those kind of dependency, when time passes and you reinstall the environment, you have, I don't know, major version upgrade and your code stops working.
Okay. Multiple questions. Okay.
Yes.
The convention of pillow equals blah blah blah. Is that a standard?
This is Python
convention?
stuff. Yeah.
That's a standard convention.
Yes.
Okay. Second question. The word locked. This is resolved, isn't it? It's not locked.
This is an
resolved.
internal thing. It's not going to be show up, but yes, we can call it.
I can query it.
Sure.
I would have thought. Can I make a
resolved.
suggestion? Why not have that key be resolved dependencies there?
Resolved environment, because it's not just about
No, I understand, but the
dependencies.
key that saes dependencies. I see. You could have said anywhere. Yeah, you could have fixed the version or not fixed the version. So I mean,
no. I would like
it's
this
the
thing
same
to be the
specification,
same
right?
because then I can just
No,
pick
I
the
got it.
specification and use it.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm suggesting original and resolved.
Okay.
Steven, just to mention that locked in this context is pretty standard these days in other stacks. And the meaning of that is that basically you lock all dependencies to whatever values they currently have, and then they are not going to change.
Yeah, they are called lock
frozen.
file. Yeah.
What they're called? What?
Lock files. Or
No, lock
yeah.
files have to do with, avoiding overwriting a file and things. That's a completely different idea.
they're still called PIP. I think it's called log file. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah,
file
you're
with
right.
the extension .lock. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
the reason.
completely different. That's to deal with, distributed processing and so on. That has nothing to do with this.
No. Steven,
Right, it might be confusing, but people are using it for in Python log. They're using also in.
What about in
also
other
I think in
languages?
Node. Oh, in Node.js, I think it's called log file as well.
Yeah, they started it. In Node.js, it's a JSON file, but it has lock in its name. It's package JSON
It should be
dot locked.
resolved. I don't think it should be lock. I think lock suggests something completely different. That's more this parallel thing. I mean, if you really think it's incredibly standard,
it's okay. It's something that we are creating for our own system, so could be
Well,
okay.
one thing I would say is that with this most recent R development with the R virtual environments, they also use file that they call locked file, and the same for JavaScript, the same for Python. So it's pretty standard these days. In this context,
then why don't you call it original and locked dependencies?
It's not only about
sounds good.
dependencies, but it's not only about dependencies.
Well, what else is it about?
It's the whole
also
specification.
The environment name, you see also the version, also the version of Python.
I mean, resolved is the most logical name. So, but in our context, that would be more comprehensible. But on the other hand, this is hidden very well inside the WXF. So unless you know exactly what you're doing, you will never see it.
Right. The other business was basically to decide on the format of these by default. What is the format of those manifests? I was using WXF because people should not touch this thing. It's something that is generated by us, and you should not tamper with. So this is why I was creating a WXF. But people are saying that it could be just a standard Wolfram language file, so that you can open it. And read it at least. Maybe there could be a comment on top that says, do not touch this file manually, blah, blah, blah. Not sure if you have any opinion on that.
I don't know, because might you want to edit it from an external editor?
Yeah.
Yes? What's the scenario?
No. You should not touch this file, but you should be able to read it with other tools. Probably this is the point that people are making. You just.
But it's not an efficiency issue, is it? To make it.
No, I mean it's just that sometimes if things go wrong as a last resort, you might want to hand edit that thing if something goes wrong.
So make it a .wl file.
Okay.
But now, what you're showing there, the external session object. You're showing a property of the external session object, the evaluator property of the external session object.
Yes.
What other properties are there of external session objects?
Well, a lot of them. All these, basically.
Okay. And where it says evaluator, that's not the evaluator. That's a manifest about the evaluator, what you're listing there on that line.
Right.
So why is it called evaluator? It's not the evaluator. The evaluator, I mean, in the case
because... Go on.
Look, for consistency, in the case of an LLM evaluator, for example, we have the wrapper around the association that says, where you say LLM evaluator arrow. What do you say actually? What is the right-hand side of LLM evaluator? Oh gosh. Do you know what I'm talking about?
LLM configuration.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is that it?
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yes, which in this case would be an environment, right?
Right, and we were thinking about having some head that describes the environment.
Sorry, what?
Some wrapper that is some symbolic wrapper that contains the evaluator information.
Which is otherwise known as a configuration in the LLM case, right?
Right. And yeah, we haven't fleshed out that design yet, but it's something.
Why don't we follow the LLM design?
Okay, I can take a look.
Which would be, I think, external configuration or something, or external evaluator configuration.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, probably external configuration will be consistent with LLM configuration. Okay. All right, what else to figure out here?
No, I think I mean, what I was also showing is that everywhere where the system was using UUID, we are now using verbose ID. This is about session ID, so and basically evaluator IDs. Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You have decided to replace UUIDs with a supposedly human readable version with words. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
Why is that a good idea?
Because otherwise
if you're
okay, go.
Sorry. If you're a user and you have 3 or 4 sessions open, Stephen, you need to have something to, grasp onto. Like UUIDs are just incredibly difficult to distinguish from each other.
Well, I mean, I look at the first few characters or the last few characters.
Yeah, but then,
Yeah,
like
but
a few
looking at
words is
only
much
this
easier
word
to,
is much word. In fact, the solution that we were thinking was either to do something color-based that we abandoned, or
Well,
yes,
that's what
to shorten.
let's look at this subsystem in all cases. Okay, we've got several different cases. We've got the case of in cryptography, we've got key specifications, right? And we are over time here. We've got key specifications, we've got UUIDs, and now we've got this. So if we're going to have this, we need some kind of, in create UUID, we want some version of it that does this.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
this is the function.
Okay, but you just made this up.
I know.
This is a
No.
new function. So why was
yes,
this part of
this is an
design?
internal function. Absolutely, this is
okay,
an internal function, and this is this is what I'm using. But just to explain how this ID works. Okay, so there are 2 words that are picked random over a list of not so big. Like I don't know.
I can see what this is doing.
Right.
And then
this guy is an actual hash. So for example, when you do random seeding of 2, this is an hash of 2 by using hash expression. And this is a full hash. So only this guy will be already sufficient to identify uniquely an expression. Those 2 words are basically just cosmetic.
I don't think they're very good. I think we do better with 3 characters or something. Given that it's really the hash that identifies it, why not just have, AQD or something? The human buffer is probably 4 or 5 characters. So if you saw AQ,
surprised because you parse the words, right? I mean, to me that seems far easier to recognize. I mean, especially as we're going to be writing these things above the language, external language cells.
I think it's super confusing because those words will be things. If the words are sufficiently, generic, like, iron elephant or something, it's probably okay. But any word that might be a word that means something.
This is not a unique invention, by the way, that we came up with. Like other softwares have the same.
I'm well aware of this. The fact that other people have done things wrong is not a reason for us to do things wrong. I understand the point of this. This is a thing where, but something which is actually visible and placed explicitly, above a cell, I think is something where you can't have confusing words there. If it's something which is a passphrase that you're giving, there are plenty of things that use that as a, I mean, like in for example, in the in some of these collaborative editors, right? They usually have, I think they just have animal names, for example, antelope and this and that and the other, right? Am I right about that?
Well, what would be more useful then
is could you answer the question? In collaborative editors, when they have to make up a name for one of the users, am I correct that a typical thing is to use animal names?
I don't know.
Well, I believe that's correct. Does anybody here know?
But if you don't like random words, then there's another option is to use the Python packages, like the most, like can you bring up the
but that would be more confusing.
It's not always going to work.
Confusing because maybe you yeah. But it's not only that it is unique, it's just that it will suggest that you have a package there that you don't. Because it's just a random.
Right. No. So just a minute. We could also use just numbers sequentially allocated, or we could use random letters. Random letters are pretty close to a UUID.
An alternative, I mean, you are basically confused by the fact that those are words that are confusing you and distracting
Yes,
you.
we spend a
Okay.
lot of effort trying to make sure that we use words that actually mean something for our function names. We could just use, something random. We could use antelope and, elephant as names of functions,
think, yes,
but we don't.
There are two ways. Either we use, yes, a set of words. This is a reasonable suggestion. Otherwise, pseudo-sounding English word. There are algorithms to generate pseudo-English. I don't know.
Could we
could try.
refer this to LCC to come up with desirable naming schemes other than UUID?
Yeah, I mean, what your point is, a UUID, I mean, you've got this hash, which is nice. And the point is you want a tag that makes this easily sort of identifiable.
Easily correlated between different cells that have the same or not the same.
Right, but let me point out that the same mechanism in, the cryptography system, right? We are using, there we have a raw key, and we are using this color coding to identify, are those two keys the same?
Can
So
you
we
bring
tried
that up, Ricardo? Can you bring up the
It won't work with
decrypted
single color swatches here. It won't work. The only thing that those color things will be useful for, or those is, are these two things the same? Which is not the problem you're trying to solve here.
Maybe now I can show the previous mockup that we had about coloring. It's something that we have
give
been
me
exploring.
a minute.
Well, I think I need to run along here, but
okay.
So I mean, the remaining piece here is how to make the thing beyond the hash memorable. And personally,
I do have the color version, by the way, if you want to see it.
Okay, I doubt it's going to work.
It really doesn't.
Okay, could you go back to sharing, please, Ricardo? And don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I suggest we use, if we want this memorable thing, I mean, the other point is we don't necessarily have to display the whole, this question of what we display versus what you get on rollover. We don't have to display a hash. It's not going to do anybody any good to display a hash. Right?
Which is why we are trying to move away
really
from
bad
UUID
design.
as well.
No, this is not the right way to do it. Don't confuse people by throwing up random words there.
Maybe we should look at the kernel, like go to the evaluator menu, like bring your evaluator and then kernel configuration options.
No, but those are just what you name them. Right?
Well,
you
yeah,
name
but there's also click on add. There's an untitled 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Like it says new kernel 1, that's a naming scheme that's is analog to these Python sessions.
Yes, I'm not wild about having to name these explicitly like that, but I think, well, in this case, it makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just pointing it out as an analog situation.
It is somewhat analogous. How much are you going to just want to create new sessions with wild abandon, and how much are you going to carefully choose the new sessions you create?
I think when I'm using it, I will always pick a name because I don't want to see random names or random
programmatically, yes. But I mean, when you are experimenting and copying stuff from an LLM, I mean, I think.
Okay, so in that case, you expect to create a new session pretty much every time because you want to keep it clean and sandboxed.
Yeah.
True or not true?
Yes, and you are not gonna spend time to.
Right.
I don't know.
So
At
in
least
that
for
case,
me.
okay, no words. Okay, the words are a bad idea. I think we should try having, 2 letters and a number, or letter, number, letter, or something. With high probability, it's not going to collide. If it does, we've always got the hash. Am I making sense? The thing that's nice about a UUID is it is meaningless. You're not confused by anything. All right, let's bring it to another meeting, but that's my suggestion. Would be maybe 2 letters and a number or something, so that you can get them sort of in one cognitive chunk. Make sense?
We can try,
that
but
sounds
then we will
reasonable.
need to elide the rest of the hash. So basically here you will see only AFC or something.
No, you can leave the whole thing. You can leave it. Leave the hash if you want to there. I'm saying what you display inside the notebook, in everybody's notebook. Look, even if it's a hash, it's much better than displaying a word. Much better. See what I'm saying?
Okay, so we get the point. You don't like the words, so let's
The
just
words are a
look at
really
something
bad
else.
idea.
Okay,
They're
all right,
really
okay,
bad
okay.
idea. I mean, we should have something that generates passphrase like UUIDs for people who want them. But in this application, it is not the right thing. Just think, those really, come on, just think about it. How do we make sure those words are not resonant with some particular thing that you're doing in your, the peony wretch? Okay, let's say you're doing an analysis of flower types, and you see peony there, and you've got, a bunch of things with pictures of peonies. Well, you're totally confused. What's that doing there? You see what I'm saying? No. Anyway, it's not a good idea.
Right.
Okay,
We
can
can
come up
maybe
with
try
something else.
pseudo English or yes, something that is
I would
easy
just
to
try a
read.
few letters.
Yeah, a few letters, but in a sequence that is at least readable, not completely random. Like
I would just try a couple of letters and a number because you have the hash to disambiguate. See what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Well, let's see. Okay.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Thanks a lot. See you guys soon.